Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you. Okay, it's good. I hope you had a great week, and let us enjoy Shabbat, the entrance of Shabbat together. We're going to begin on page 10 with Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh, Abba Rachaman, Mishoch Avdach, Eretzonach, Yarutz Avdach, Kemo Hayal, Yishtachave mul Hadarach, Ki Eravo Yedidutach, Mino Fetzuf Bechol Tzah, Higalena Ufros Aviv Alai, Etzukat Shelomak, Ta'ir Eretz Mikvodach, Nagila V'nismecha bach, Maher Ahov Kiva Mohen V'honeni Kimei Olam.
We continue page 11, Lechu Neranana.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Adonai. Naria, לצור אישנו, נקם מפניו בתודה. נריה, לצור אישנו, בזמירות נריה לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני.
Bottom of page 12.
40 שנה כות בדור, ואומר העם תוהה לבבהם, והם לא ידעו דרכי, אשר נשבעתי ואפי, אם יבואון אל מנוחתי. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בזרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בהם כבודו.
בכל העמים מפלותיו, כי גדול הווי ומנוהל מאוד. We're on page 14, ישמחו השמיים.
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ירם הים,
ירם הים, ירם הים ומלוא,
ירם הים, ירם הים, יירם הים ומלואו, ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. יירם הים,
יירם הים, יירם הים ומלואו, יירם הים, יירם הים, יירם הים ומלואו.
We continue on page 18, Zamru Ladonai.
זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור בקול זמרה, בחצוצרות בקול שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור בקול זמרה, בחצוצרות וקול שופר. הריעו לבני המלך אדוני, יירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה, נהרות עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו. לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים. יירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה, נהרות עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו.
Let us turn to page 20.
Nai, nai, nai. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 nai 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 yai dai dai yai dai dai yai dai 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 dai. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו.
If you're able to do so, please rise. We turn to page 21, Mizmor LeDavid.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בלילים, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. איי איי איי, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, ישתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavodim Adonai al mayim rabim Kol Adonai Bakoach ay Kol Adonai Behadar Kol Adonai Shover Arazim Vayashaver Adonai Et Arzei Havanon Vayarchidem
כמו עגל
Lebanon Besión Kemo Ben Remim
כמו בן רמים
ay Kol Adonai Hoten Amotesh Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh Kol Adonai
יכול אל איילות
Vayechesov Yeharot Uvechalom Kulo Omer Kavod ay Adonai Lamavo Yashava Yeshev Adonai Melech Leolam Adonai Oz Le'amo Yiten Adonai Yevarek et Amo Vashalom Nai 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 nai 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la.
Let us please be seated. Page 22. If you would, may your mighty right hand undo the knot that ties us up. Almighty, if you would, guard as the apple of your eye those who seek your unity. Listen to our pleas, hear our cries, knowing the hidden depths within us. Ana v'choach.
Ana bechoach bechoach gedulat yemincha yemincha tatir tzerura kaberinat amcha sagvenu tarenu nora Ana bechoach bechoach gedulat yemincha yemincha tatir tzerura kaberinat amcha sagvenu tarenu nora Ana bekoach gedulat yemincha tatit zerura gaberinat amecha rinat amecha sagvenu tarenu nora Nagibo doshe yechudcha kevava shomrem varchem tarem rachamem sikatecha tamid golem Ana bekoach gedulat yemincha tatit zerura gaberinat amecha rinat amecha sagvenu tarenu nora Nai lai 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 Nai 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 nai
turn to page 23 as we welcome the Shabbos bride Lecha Dodi.
Nai 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 Kala Pene Shabbat Nekavela Lecha Dodi Eli Rakala Pene Shabbat Nekavela Shamor V'Zachor B'dibur Echad Ishmi'anu El HaMichad Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad Shemo Tiferet Veli Tchila Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala V'nei Shabbat Nekavela Ligrat Shabbat Nechu V'necha Ki Melkor Haveracha Merosh Mikedem Nesucha Sof Maaseh B'Machshavat Tchila Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala V'nei Shabbat Nekavela Mikdash Melech Ir Melucha Kumitzia Mitoch Afecha Rav Lak Shevet Be'emek Becha Vehu Yachamol Alai Chemla Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekavela Hina Ari Me'afar Kumi Lishi Bidea Tifartecha Mi Al Yad Ben Ishai Ben Alach Mikarva El Nafshi Nafshi Ge'ala Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekavela Hitoreri Kiva Orech Kumi Ori Uri Uri Shidaveri Kevod Adonai Alaik Nikla Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekavela Lo Tevoshi Velo Tikami Matish Tochachia Umatekemi Bach Yefesu Ani Yami Veniv Nita Iratila Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekavela V'hayu L'shimsa Shosai B'racha Kukor Mevalaik Yasis Alaik Elohai Kim Schos Chatan Chatan Al Kala Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekavela Yamin Usmol Tifrotzi Ve'et Adonai Taritzi Al Yadish Ben Partzi Ve'nismecha V'nagila Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekavela Boi V'Shalom Hateret Bala Gam V'Simcha Uvetzol Toch Emuneh Am Segula Boi Chala Shabbat Malketa Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekavela Lecha Dodi Ligra Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekavela
Let us please be seated. We continue on page 27.
Mizmor Shir, Mizmor Shir, Mizmor Shir Leom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Mizmor Shir, Mizmor Shir Leom HaShabbat. Tov tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon tov. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov tov lehodot l'Adonai ולזמר לשמך עליון טוב טוב להודות לאדוני להגיד בבוקר חסדך להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, ואמונתך בלילות, טוב טוב להודות לאדוני, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, ואמונתך בלילות. טוב, טוב להודות לאדוני. טוב, טוב להודות לאדוני. טוב, טוב להודות לאדוני. ולזמר לשמך עליון טוב, טוב להודות לאדוני.
We turn to page 29 as we declare God sovereign of the universe, Adonai Malach.
Adonai Malach Lavesh. Lavesh. Adonai Ozit Azar Aftikon Tevel Baltimon Aftikon Tevel Baltimon Nakon Kisacha Meaz Me'olam Ata Naseu Neharot Adonai Naseu Neharot Kolam Yiseu Neharot Ogyam Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpereyam Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Erotecha Nenu Mehor Leveitcha Bakodesh Adonai Lehorek Yamim Adonai Lehorek Yamim Mikolot Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpereyam Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai.
Let us please rise for Baruch Hu, page 39.
Nai nai na 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 nai 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 na 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 nai nai ya na nai 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 ya na nai nai ya na nai 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 na 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 nai 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 na 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 nai nai ya na nai 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 ya na nai na 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 nai ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ידעי ני 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 ידעי ני 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 ידעי ידעי ני 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 ידעי ני ני ידעי ידעי ומביא יום ומביא לילה מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים.
אהבת עולם, page 40.
אהבת עולם בין ישראל עמך אתה תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. באהבתך אל תסרנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך וביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וינשמו תשמעו.
We're on page 42.
ולימדתם אותם את בניכם לבקש. ויאמר משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת להם מסלול ציצית. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue on page 44. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha.
Nai 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 Yai dai 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 dai. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, boker yam lifnei Moshe. זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Nai 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 nai.
Ashkivenu, page 45.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu Sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu, Sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, hapores Sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim, Amen. Ufros aleinu Sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu Sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, hapores Sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen.
Please rise, we sanctify Shabbat together. Vishamru, page 46.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש,
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל
את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי ועמלק מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. ישמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקדושה. ברכו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
We continue praying the Amidah for Friday night silently, beginning on page 47. If you finish praying the Amidah, please be seated. We continue with Shalom Rav, page 51.
Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Ata Melech Adon V'kol HaShalom. Ki Ata Melech Adon V'kol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We make peace together. Oseh Shalom, page 52.
Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Kaddish Shalem, page 54.
Yet get out of me, Rabba.
Amen.
Me alma divra kruse vemlik malchute bechaye chone v'mei chone v'chaye kol beit Yisrael. V'agala uvizman kari v'miru. Amen. Yeheshmei Rabba mevorach. Ve'alam alal me'almaya. Yitbarach nishtabak v'itba'ar ramina se v'ithadar v'nale v'talal shemeri kudesha. V'reichu le'ela min kol brekata v'shirata. Tushbekata v'nechamata damiran me'alma v'imru. Amen. Titkabat slotahon va'utahon da kol Yisrael. Kodam v'hon v'shemaya v'imru. Amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleni v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom imromav. Hu yasei shalom aleni v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. I hope you guys had pizza last night. I had sushi. But it was good, right? After a week. You know, there's certain things that we Jews do every year. And it doesn't matter how many years we do it, we keep on doing it. We are really creatures of habit. And some of the most difficult discussions that have happened in the history of our people have come about because of our habits. So if you think that what's happening in Israel with the judicial reform and the protests all over, if you think that's, a little difference of opinion, and that's the only time it's ever happened, it's not. I mean, we haven't seen hundreds of thousands of people on the streets, right? But there's been other times in Jewish history, specifically in the history of the modern state of Israel, where we really have had strong differences of opinion based on our habits and just based on what history was. Let me give you an example. Perhaps the most incredible example is a discussion that came about when, in the early days of Israel, the Knesset tried to establish a day to commemorate the Shoah, the Holocaust. And they really couldn't come together. There were protests, there were people in hunger strikes. I kid you not. Because this had just happened, and they were really tremendously raw to the experience. Not to say that we're not raw today, but back then, you had just experienced it. You had just lost your mother and your father and your brother and your sister and your spouse and your children. So you really had a say on which day of the year we were going to honor their memories as a people. And they couldn't reach an agreement because the hardcore secularists and the survivors, by and large, wanted the day to be the second night of Passover. Because that's when the rebellion happened in the ghetto. And you can imagine, the very tiny religious establishment at the time, which was really tiny, actually said, no way. We cannot remember such a horror in the middle of a holiday that talks about the coming of the Messiah. It makes no sense. So this conversation, or shouting at each other, went on not for a year or two, it went on for 6 years. And they couldn't reach a consensus. They finally came to the conclusion that the 27th of Nisan, which this year it falls the next Tuesday, was going to be the day to commemorate the Shoah. And it was close enough to Passover that those historical traditionalists felt okay, and the religious establishment felt, okay, look, it's in a mournful period, it's the Yomer, it should be fine. And that's how the compromise was reached. But one of the most incredible things that happened, and it was not a coincidence, I want to believe, is that the Torah portion that we always read on Shabbat before Yom HaShoah is Parashat Shmini. And Parashat Shmini is one of the most problematic Torah portions in the entire Torah from a theological perspective, because Aaron's children, Nadav and Avihu, bring an offering to the tabernacle that God didn't ask for. They were trying to be extra zealous. They were trying to be extra giving to God. And God kills them. Literally. Fire consumes them. And it's problematic because these two young men didn't do anything. They were just vaporized for no reason. And so this Shabbat, we read that story, and next week we're confronted with the story of the Shoah, where our people, for no reason, were vaporized, were eliminated, were obliterated. And not unlike what happens in the Torah, we every year, even at a distance, explore our reaction and try to figure out what's the best way to commemorate and to honor them. There is, however, a big difference as we go further into modernity. And that difference is the state of Israel. And it's a big difference because there is no doubt that when somebody attacks you and tries to murder you, and you have nowhere to go, your life is really immersed in sorrow. But if there's a place where you can go, a place that will take you and defend you and protect you at all costs, then your life is elevated as a Jew, as a human being, and then you begin to understand what it means to have self-determination. I want to share with you a story that happened right before Passover. 3 women, Maya, Rina, and Lucy D., were murdered by Palestinians as they made their way on a highway up to their in-laws' house in Tiberias. And the story is not remarkable by any means. It's a horrible story, a deplorable story. But what's remarkable is the reaction of Lucy's husband, Leo D. Leo D. is a British rabbi who made Aliyah a long time ago with his family and lives in the city of Efrat, which is literally 10 minutes from Jerusalem. And what I'm going to share with you this evening, I'm going to read a little excerpt of something that he shared in a radio transmission right after his wife died, because she died a couple of days after the 2 girls and after she was buried. I think that in listening to the words of this rabbi, we can really understand the difference between us and them, between people who seek life and Islamist, murderous terrorists who seek death, destruction, and fire. And here are his words. The feeling that she called me during the attack and I wasn't able to speak to her would come back to haunt me for the rest of my life. Lucy tried to call him. Once the attack stopped and she was mortally wounded, she tried and tried and tried, and he didn't pick up the phone because they were going to his parents' house, and he didn't want to be distracted. They were going in 2 cars. As soon as I could stop, I checked Google Family Link, and I saw that they were all located at the Hamra Junction. The 3 cell phones were together. Then we watched a photograph of the scene, which revealed that the suitcases in the car belonged to our family. I drove like a lunatic to the Hamra Junction. The police wouldn't let us see the car. By this point, we knew that the 2 younger girls had been killed by a terrorist with an automatic Kalashnikov, 20 bullets into their young bodies. And the older woman had been airlifted to Hadassah Ein Kerem Hospital in Jerusalem. By now I knew half my family was gone. I wanted to be with Lucy in the hospital, but we couldn't believe that this was our car until we saw our family. I wanted to see the girls, or at least the car for myself. I just couldn't believe it. When Rabbi D was actually allowed by the police to look at the bodies, he was told by the Israeli police that one of his daughters, Lucy, had 2 bullets, one in the brain stem and the other one in her abdomen. And the other one of his daughters was irrecognizable, bullets all over her body. And then he went to say the following on the radio that day. All world religions believe that we have the power to tell the difference between good and evil so that we can choose to be good. And if we choose good, then we make the world into a better place. I am saddened that recently, maybe over the past 20 years of my life, this innate ability to differentiate between good and evil has been gradually lost from humanity. That's why I wish to designate today the 10th of April, as this day, the day we differentiate between good and evil, right and wrong, he said. And how do we differentiate between good and evil? He asked. We just use our gut feeling. There's no better formula. We cannot trust an app. We can't trust the news. We can only trust our intuitions. So how would I like you to celebrate this day this year? If you feel that it was wrong to shoot dead at close range 3 beautiful lives, 3 innocent lives in the prime of their lives, then please post a picture of you and your spouse or your children with an Israeli flag. Or just post a picture of an Israeli flag and share it on Facebook or whichever social media app you use. Thank God, he said. I believe that Tali, Keren, and Yehuda, my remaining children, will do that in their lives and pass those values down to their children day after day. Recognize between good and evil. Learn to differentiate it. Hence play their part in building a better world. And this anonymous terrorist with a Kalashnikov, what did he accomplish? A temporary victory? So marks he can carve into his gun? Where's his future? Is he spending the time with his children to teach them decent life values? Will he ever have children? Does he even have children that he can talk to? A product of a broken culture that does not differentiate between good and evil, so he cannot see a future for himself. He's taking 20 shots of cocaine, 1 for each bullet, in order to numb his soul, which is telling him, you are pure evil. There is no such thing as moral equivalence between terrorists and victims, he said. The terrorist is always bad. He demanded, world media, show me your true colors. Do you really believe in moral equivalence? Will you continue to support evil by giving it a voice? Am I and my family really a threat to world peace? We who teach kindness and love, we who value life over anything else, is this anonymous killer really justified? Is he progressing moral values and a future for himself? Come on, wake up. Listen to your souls. Do you really believe it? Or does it just sell advertising space for material goods that none of us really need as you go about your newscasts? So, the fact that a Jew can look at the world and say this in the open airwaves without fear, to all of us sitting here, it's not a big deal. The generation of my parents and their parents, they would have never dreamt of doing anything like that before the establishment of the State of Israel. Jews in this country in the 1950s were not safe or secure. And I'm not entirely sure how safe and secure we will remain in the future. I know when I say that, people look at me like I'm crazy. But let me tell you, Jewish history teaches us otherwise. So we do well to heed these words and to heed the call to understand that we are alone at this, that the world will shoot at us, that the world will condemn us, and the only place where we can speak back and shoot back and defend ourselves is the State of Israel. With its faults, with its problems, with its marches, with the judicial reform, with whatever it is. You know, after Rabbi D spoke these words, the Prime Minister of England called him on the phone. A unique thing that has never happened before. Last week, when another Arab terrorist rammed over 6 tourists, killing 1 Italian Christian tourist in Tel Aviv, the Italian Prime Minister stood up for Israel, unheard of, never seen before. And the only reason why this happens is because Israel is a projection of the strength of our people and the resilience of our people. All of us in the Jewish community in North America that think that when we defend ourselves, it's a cause for shame. That when we go into a mosque trying to apprehend perpetrators, trying to harm our citizens and our forces, if you believe that's a cause for shame, then you're living in a different century. Our right to defend ourselves, our right to speak out, calls out from all of the blood that's been spilled throughout our generations. And here's the most important thing. This Shabbat, next week, when we remember those whose lives were taken for no other reason than being Jewish, we better remember these words too, and we better remember this lesson. Because that tiny country in the middle of the Middle East sometimes is the only thing standing between the murderers and us. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach. Let us please rise. We're going to continue with Shalom Aleichem, page 73.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ani L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Let us please remain standing. We turn to page 55 for Kiddush. Where's that Kiddush? Oh. Right parts. Okay.
We want to invite any children to come up to the bima. Come on up, guys.
What's in the refrigerator? Okay. I want to get the ball. Hey, what's going on?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei puri hagafe.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon kinhilanu zikaron le'maaseh Bereshit ki hu yom tehila lamigrahe kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki banu bacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
It's not matzah.
Here we go. You want to take a piece?
more matzah if you want.
Take it. Go for it. There you go. Take the whole thing. Okay. You're good? Okay. We're going to remain standing as we count the Omer, which can be found on page, the counting of the Omer is on page 63.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat haomer.
Ayom tisha yamim shem shavua echad u'shnei yamim laomer. Please be seated. I'd like to call up to the bima the participants on the March of the Living for this year, together with Lizzie Fuchs and DJ, who's already here. Come on. If you're participating in the March of the Living, the three of you, come on. Here. Where's DJ? Oh, Lizzie. So, in case you've never heard this before, I'll tell you quickly. We have a wonderful fund in our congregation, the Audrey Merkin Fund, that throughout the years has been able to sponsor children, well, not children, teenagers, going on the March of the Living every year to Poland and then on to Israel. And we open this to the entire community. The Federation, well, Jewish Nevada is our partner in this, and we're very, very proud of it for many reasons. And we have had a couple of very difficult years because of the pandemic where we have not gone. So this is the first time since 2019, actually 2018, that we sent a group. I was in the last group that went, DJ. So now it's your turn. So together with Lisa, you're outnumbered still, but you'll be okay. So I want to tell you, on behalf of all of us, that the things that you will see are unlike any things that you've ever seen in your entire life. Not because of the gruesome nature of what happened, but because of what it means to us as a people. And then eventually it will hit you that you are there. And that even though this happened, we actually survived. And we're here not only to tell the story, but to tell the history to the entire world of what was attempted to do to us. So it's so important that you bear witness, that you walk through those places, and that eventually you make it also to Israel to understand this message that I spoke about tonight, that Israel is so important, not only because of what it represents in our history, but what it should mean to all of us, every single one of us. So on behalf of our congregation, we bless you. We wish for you a joyous journey, a journey of learning, a journey of spirituality and inspiration, but above all, a journey of witnessing and a journey of telling what you witness. Let us all please rise. We continue with Aleinu, page 56. Guys, would you open the ark?
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כיהי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו ככם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שנוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמן והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו ושמו
Let us please be seated.
Simple Beth Sholom is acknowledging the yort sites of Oscar Agron, Ari Bar-On, Milton Beckwith, Becky Bloom, Ruth Brewster, Mary Brinkman, Becky Cohen, Anne-Marie Cohen, Sally Diamondstone, Mark Engel, Rosen Trotter, Geraldine Froelich, Shirley Goldberg, Eleanor Kalt Goldberg, Robert Goldberg, Haskell Goldman, Martin Greenstein, Pauline Cantor, Ruth Landau, Leonard Levine, Helen Mack, Rose Marmor, Ruth Miller, Leah Nestler, Jack Novak, Norman Pasternak, Esther Pearl, Anna Reiter, Henry Ritchie, Ruth Sally Rose, Mary Rosif, Esther Rosenstein, Martin Schwartz, Leonard Seitz, Samuel Schowell, Charlene Boynis Seidenoff, Abraham Sova, Pesa Sroot, Shia Sroot, Pauline Weinstein, Helen Weisberg, Anna Winsker, and Sam Zabin. Mourners and those observing a yort site have an opportunity to say the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 58. Yitz Gadal v'yitz Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divara Kirute v'yamlik Malkute Bechayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dekol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'alam Olalmei Almaya Yit Barak V'yishtabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Ramam V'yit Naseh V'yit Hadar V'yit Ale V'yit Halal Shemei Dekudisha Barichu Le'elam Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Ta'amiran Be'elma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Please be seated. We now have an opportunity to hear some announcements from one of our board of directors, Mr. Elliot Blute.
Shabbat Shalom. Please join us tomorrow at 9 a.m. for Shabbat morning service. Join us during the week for morning minyan in the chapel, which begins at 9 a.m. on Sunday and 7:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. This Sunday at 10 a.m., TBS Women's League will hold their annual elections, and along with a special presentation on Feng Shui. On Sunday, April 30th, Women's League will be going to see Broadway Bound, and on May 3rd, the book club will meet to discuss Codename Sapphire. This Sunday at 4 p.m. will be the Yom HaShoah commemoration. There will be a screening of And You Chose Life, a documentary about the partisan Shrega Degani and Jewish heroism during the Holocaust. Following the screening, the commemoration will continue in the Sigismund Sanctuary. This event is open to the community. The TBS Men's Club, with the help of USWA, recently sent out Yom HaShoah candles. The time to light your candle is Monday, April 17th at sundown. TBS Men's Club will have a community barbecue on Sunday, May 7th at 11 a.m. Additional details for all these events can be found in your Shabbat handout and weekly TBS email. Following services tonight, please join us for the Oneg in the large social hall. And if you know of a temple member who is in the hospital, ill at home, or in a nursing home, please contact the temple office to let us know. Shabbat Shalom.
So the movie that we're watching, it's not a movie, it's a documentary we're watching Sunday afternoon at 4. It's really remarkable. Shraga Degani was a partisan in Belarus, and the story of how he saved his life and he managed to save lives of many, many Jews is remarkable. What's most remarkable about the documentary is when his family goes back to Belarus and how the whole little town where he was from reacts. It's incredible. They actually have a moment of understanding what they did, and they devote basically their entire lives to honoring the memory of the Jews who died in that little town. It's a very, very interesting documentary. If you can join us, please, we'll love to see you here at 4 p.m. on Sunday. This is sponsored by the Board of Rabbis of Nevada and Jewish Nevada. We conclude our service with Adon Olam, page 211, followed by our special blessing.
אשר מלך בטרם כל יצר נברא להינשא והפסו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית מלוא העוז והמשרה מלוא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי מהצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו הפקיד רוחי והייתי שם ואירה ואמרו כי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא אירה אדוני לי ולא אירה.
Let us please come together at this time as we welcome the light, the beauty, and the peace of Shabbat together. I need a stool.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויכונך יישא אדוני פניו אליך ויעשה לך שלום יברכך אדוני וישמרך
Adonai os lemoitenu, Adonai yivarech et amo shalom. Shabbat shalom umevorach.
עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. סלם עלינו ועל כל העולם, סלם השלום. סלם עלינו ועל כל העולם, סלם השלום. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם.